So let's just jump in on the Mavs, Tim.
Yes.
And I know this does sound like an around the horn question, but I'll ask it anyway here.
Okay.
Where does Luka rank? Where does he rank right now? And not just Mavs history, but I'm talking about Dallas sports history at age 23.
Yeah, in terms of trying to think of a player who's ever been that young with that kind of upside, and you could look at Aikman and Emmett when they win a Super Bowl, Aikman's fourth year, Emmett's third year. So something similar to that. But Cowboys always kind of, when the Cowboys are good, there's a lot of guys who are good. And basketball is different, and that's why Dirk sort of stands apart from everybody here over the last 20 years. And now you have the kind of insane idea that the Mavericks get to replace the greatest European import of all time with maybe the next one. I'm sure Giannis is in that discussion as well. But regardless, it's there's an excitement about Luka because he's unguardable. Nobody has a decent answer, and the Suns thought Mikal Bridges was a pretty good answer, a Defensive Player of the Year finalist, and he got destroyed. I think it even killed his offensive game too. And so it's exciting to see what might happen with a team that sometimes in the regular season looked like it was stalling out and might win 50, but it's going nowhere. And now the feeling is who's going to stop Luka?
Yeah, and that trade of Porzingis for Dinwiddie seemed to open something up, right? I mean, walk me through that trade and where we are now.
Yeah, I'd like to go back in time and maybe rip up the column I wrote after that. Not that I didn't really criticize. I mean, I said you got to get rid of Porzingis if you can. You just 3 years you cannot depend on him playing. I said, but you'll have to remind me of all the All-Star games Spencer Dinwiddie has been featured in, and he during the regular season he had his best stats here, better stats than he ever had in his career. Now the playoffs he kind of took a step back in the Utah series, but last night he went crazy, and he was very good in Game 6. So what it did was, okay, we're not going to play. We're going to play small all the time, is their attitude, and we're going to play so small sometimes that it's going to be really disruptive. And they play, this offense called 5 out that a couple other teams have played, where everybody stands around the 3-point line. It sounds like the simplest thing in the world. But if your team has Rudy Gobert or DeAndre Ayton, they don't have anyone to guard, and they get exposed all the time. And that's what continued to happen in this series. And Dinwiddie and Bertans always comes in and just throws in a couple 30-footers. I would like to see what he could do if they just let him launch time after time, because he is crazy accurate on threes. He doesn't do a lot otherwise. But, yeah, I mean, that just turned him into the three-point shooting team in the league right now.
And so what you got a good Luka story that folks would like to know? Anything about him in the Dallas community, how he has had the welcome mat rolled out and how he's just going to be a fixture there for a very long time? Anything to do with Cuban and him?
The Mavericks certainly hope he's a fixture here for a long time, but we know guys with max contracts, James Harden and others, have found a way to leave. I've never thought he, as competitive as he is, he doesn't strike me as a guy who would just, if they had lost the Utah series somehow, just said, I got to get out of here. But we know that could have happened. But that's one of the big upsides of getting at least this far, that you're in the Western Conference Finals, you're playing the team that's won 3 titles. Wouldn't be the end of the world if you lost this series. The feeling still would be great going into next year, but now there's a great chance that they could win this series. And, a lot of people outside of Dallas, they notice the whining here too. He wants every call, and it's crazy. But he also smiles more than any NBA player in history. And sometimes after he's made a shot, but really throughout the game. And so he's kind of a joyful player on top of having this game that I thought early in his career, I thought he was Chris Mullin, much like Chris Mullin. He plays at a different speed, but he can get his shot and do everything. And I even talked to Tim Hardaway about it, since his son plays here. And he very quickly said, Tim, Luka's better than Chris. and Chris was pretty good. He was on the dream team, but I think we now know Luka's better than Chris, and he's probably better than everybody left in the playoffs.
Before I let you go, Tim, we were talking about Luka a few minutes ago, and how you said, well, Dallas hopes that he'll stay, right? With max contract players have gotten themselves out if they want. What does Cuban do to make sure that doesn't happen? He strikes me as somebody who's smart and he knows what he's doing, not just because I see him on Shark Tank. He definitely is a guy who knows how to build a franchise and around people. What does he do to ensure this best he can, that Luka's a happy camper, and even if they do lose to the Dubs, he understands what's being built there?
I don't think it's anything personal. I don't think it's Cuban started out showering players with gifts and the best lockers and the best toys, and everybody has that now, best hotels, and everybody in the league has all those things. He didn't do a great job surrounding Dirk with talent for the end of his career, and some of the things, there was a thinking here a month ago that they had misfired on most of those things, and if they had lost to Utah, that would have continued to be the thinking. But now with they're just a very difficult offense to deal with. Phoenix, I actually thought, figured out right away, you got to let Luka shoot 2-point shots. You can't run off your man at the three-point line like Utah did constantly and let him penetrate and throw it to those guys, because they're going to make those shots. So just the team success really is all it's going to come down to. I don't think there's an atmosphere he can create. Everybody's got that these days, but it's just got to be winning. And right now they've obviously surprised kind of the world by beating the Phoenix Suns. So that's the best thing Cuban or anyone could hope for.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.